Welcome to the Brothers Sinatra podcast, the only podcast featuring two swinging brothers talking about Avatar Aang, the Last Airbender, the movie.
Yip, yip, Papa. Yip, yip.
Yip, yip, indeed. I'm Jack Sinatra.
And I'm Tyler Sinatra.
And we're the Brothers Sinatra. I feel like you were deliberately delaying that time.
I was. I went a little slower than normal.
And, you know, I've noticed just some strange behavior out of you as well, you know? You've been wearing new clothes. You've been eating new foods. You've been styling yourself a vegetarian. But pie is not a vegetable, Tyler.
I know, Jackie, I know. It's not my fault. Sometimes I have a cheat day.
Well, we never have a cheat day here at the Brothers Sinatra podcast, except when one of the brothers falls ill. So
Yeah,
for
sometimes I
the
get
dozen
sick.
or so folks that were wondering, you know, why wasn't there a podcast in your normal, you know, standard rhythm? Well, you know, one of the brothers...
I got sick.
Yeah, that's what happens, you know?
I don't want to tell you what kind of sick.
No, we don't need to. But we got to protect the gear, okay? We don't need brothers
the gear.
yakking on the stuff, all right?
You're giving away part of the sick.
Well, you know, I could just be, you know, a yak is much like a bison. You know, it's all thematic when we're talking about
I get it,
the
because of
Avatar.
the flying bison.
Yeah, he's yakking all over the sky, you know?
On account of my throw-up was flying all over the bathroom.
Well, now you're just really going there. But anyway, folks, whether you want to listen to graphic descriptions of sicknesses or perhaps, you know, the latest and greatest from Avatar Studios, the newly minted, not really newly minted, but the newly published, let's say, officially Avatar Studios, listen to us on Spotify, listen to us on Amazon, on Apple, wherever you get those dang things, okay?
We also have, like, the social medias. We've got, like, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the TikToks, the YouTubes.
Yep. Those are the main ones.
We're
still on Threads, sort of. We're not posting there. But if you want to post, add us there.
Yeah, you can do something.
You know, we'll start to get notified that stuff is happening over there.
Yeah.
Which currently there's not. Got to be honest with you.
I've only seen, like, 3 total Threads posts in my life, so...
Yeah. I usually come to it in the way of, you know, there's something in my alerts on Instagram, and it's like, hey, here's a thread you might want to check out. And then I press it, and it's like, hey, you should re-download Threads. But remember when you deleted that to save space on your phone for, like, photos and videos? And I'm like, you know what? I still need that space, and I do not want to reinstall Threads. So that's where I'm at with it.
Unfortunately, even though Elon Musk bought Twitter and everybody, like, when the reaction apps came out, didn't work.
Elon Musk
None of it worked. Yeah.
You know, we're just talking about yaks and ox and bison.
Musk ox.
You know, what are the relations between those? What phylum? What genus? You know, are these...
I'm just wondering
what's the relation
what
there?
clade they're in, Jackie.
Well, if you want to know what clade they are in, you can go to veryentertaining.biz, where no doubt we have a button you can scroll to that'll give you the lowdown on anything, you know, classification related with regards to biology, or just a list of our shows and various, you know, ways to get to our promotional material.
It's mostly our shows and promotional material.
To be fair, yeah. But, you know, you
we
never
gotta
know
add
what we're going to
that.
put
We
on
gotta
there.
add that button back, the biology button, Jackie.
We do.
Once the biology button's turned on, then
The problem is the biology button was such a hit, it kept crashing the site. So we had
everybody
to kind
kept
of
coming to our site for the biology.
Yep. And
They came for the biology and they stayed for the brothers.
Well, we hoped that they would stay for the brothers, but the problem is they got booted because of our poor security. We implemented way better security now, and that was at the expense of the biology button. So maybe if you stir up enough controversy, or if you keep on commenting us to bring back the biology button, we'll figure out a way to make it happen. But for security purposes...
Bring back biology, folks. Just hashtag Brother Sinatra, hashtag bring back biology.
Yeah, that's 2 hashtags.
That's
use
2 right
them
in
in
a row.
tandem. You can do that now. You can actually use 2 hashtags in tandem, and it totally works. That's totally fine. Okay?
Canned tags.
Absolutely. Now, Tyler, we are talking not about biology today, not even about chemistry.
No, not really.
As we almost never are in Avatar. But, I think things have improved on the Avatar front over this last week.
I suppose so.
As many people know. Listen, we've been watching the live-action Avatar on Netflix, which is basically disowned by the creators. So this week, we're bringing you something that is, not only not disowned by the creators, but they actually have an active part in producing this thing. The folks that are involved actually had a part in producing the original beloved animated series and some of Legend of Korra, which obviously people, really love as well. I'd say maybe not to the same degree as the original series, but, we're always going to be chasing that high of the original Aang gang.
I think the main fight is like, Korra's not as good as Avatar, but if you were to just take Korra on its own, Korra's a great show. It
Absolutely.
holds up.
No, they're both fantastic installments. So this is officially the first installment of something from Avatar Studios, something that was created as a division of Nickelodeon round about 21, 22. This is the first thing that they've come out with. This is the product of about 4 years of work, which is heartbreaking if you know anything about how the rollout of this thing happened. Yeah. Basically, it was supposed to come out in theaters last October, Tyler. Things got delayed, okay? And who's to say what caused the delay? It could be because Nickelodeon is wrapped up in all of this Paramount Skydance business, and from a business standpoint, there's not a lot to love there. It could be that there were true kind of production-related delays where they were just making everything look better. But fast forward to basically April of this year. It kept getting delayed, January, March. Now we're looking at October release in theaters of 2026. All of a sudden in April, the whole thing leaked, Tyler.
Big leak.
The whole thing leaked. Nobody knew really what happened. Long story short, a 26-year-old from Singapore leaked the whole thing in high quality, to which a lot of people went out and watched it. It actually caused a bit of a stir because Paramount had planned to kind of not do the theatrical thing, and then people were like, hey, this is pretty good. Why don't you actually, put it in theaters? But obviously, this thing leaking at the way that it did, and all of these secrets they had kept from a casting standpoint, and what exactly is happening in the story. This stuff has all been known to a certain subset of people who wish to be spoiled for the last 3 months or so. So very unfortunate.
Sorry, production studio.
I'll just say, for me personally, I did not watch the leaked edition, so my first viewing was in real time as it released on Paramount Plus. It did have, Tyler, a small release window. I think only a couple screenings in New York and L.A. Us being very far in between those places.
Yeah, too bad.
Did not have an opportunity to view it as such.
Couldn't go.
Which, again, is a shame. As we'll talk about, I think that this thing really warranted a theater viewing. I think it's clear that this thing was produced to be watched on a massive screen
to be in a theater
with a big sound system. So there's a lot that's unfortunate here, but a lot of positives that we can draw. You don't have to out yourself. The leak police are coming for you, Tyler.
I saw the leak.
You didn't go out and seek it. It's just like it just kind of leaked out at you.
It fell into my lap.
It just leaked right out
when you're on that old Muskox website and you're just scrolling through it, you see a young Singaporean man's post.
Yep.
And
it's an
entire film, and you're like, wow, that's interesting. That's the whole film.
Yeah. And he is looking at some consequences. I saw maybe like 7 years or something. They cane people for littering over there. So, I think that they know how to handle business in Singapore when it comes to leaks.
I don't know if that's how you want to put that, but it's okay.
They also got some crazy rich Asians over there, and some cool buildings, as I saw in that particular film. But I digress, Tyler. Let's just go over some other kind of stats. So we kind of talked about, the run-up of what happened here with the release. It did get released on Paramount Plus on July 25th, so it is fairly new in the public available consumption sphere. It is able to get Oscar nominations, which is why they did that limited release in theaters, because that's kind of a prerequisite for that kind of thing. So this might be, something. I think it would be shocking if it win, but I think it might pick up a few awards here and there at other award shows, especially the nerdy ones, let's say.
I could see it winning for like art direction, maybe.
Yeah. And listen, we're going to give our top 5, our bottom 5, all of that good stuff, but I would just say at a high level, this was a bit of a palate cleanser, I would say, coming from the live action, and nice to see something from our guys, and that's Brian Konechko and Michael Dante DiMartino. You gotta have an Italian guy.
An Italian guy. Oh,
okay.
If the story's by an Italian, it's gonna be good.
Oh. And it was written by Tim Hendrick and Christopher Yost. I don't know much about their background, but it was directed by Lauren Montgomery, who I believe did storyboarding for the original series and was like a supervising producer or something for Legend of Korra. So a lot of people very involved with the previous. They got the Jeremy Zuckerman to do the scoring, who did music for the original, and they gave him more resources. He got access to a full orchestra this time. So we'll talk about, the music and all of that.
Yeah.
A nice cast, a pretty star-studded cast, all things considered.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, and I think as I was going through, I didn't maybe recognize people by name, but actually have seen quite a few of these people in other things, in both live action and as voice actors. And again, this is Avatar Studios' first at bat. They're going to have another series, and that's definitely something we'll cover here. Do you have access? What is the name of that series that's coming out in October or something?
Oh,
it's kind of their
Avatar
first attempt at a new series that's coming out, and I believe it is set after the events of Legend of Korra.
Seven Havens,
yeah. So we're going to learn all about all 7 of the Havens. And, we're going to decide which haven is the best haven.
I think I'm going to like the 6th haven the most.
You think it has any tie-ins to 7th Heaven?
Ooh.
I hope so.
See your smiling face. I hope so.
This thing is 99 minutes long. I don't know if that's inclusive of the credits. I feel like this thing, you can basically say it's like 90-minute. It flies by, I think. It's got kind of one thing after another. There's not a lot of breathing room, and we'll talk about the pacing.
Yeah, we'll talk about
various
that.
things as we get into it. And what else to say? This had an $80 million budget, so I would say that, you hear $80 million. Yeah, that's a lot of money, but it's certainly not at the top end when you think of animation projects.
For animation, yeah.
I would say, a moderate budget, let's say.
Especially if you're looking at the Dave Bautistas of it all and the Stephen Youngs of it all.
Just from a casting standpoint.
Yeah, from a casting standpoint, that isn't that much money.
Yeah, and let's just briefly talk about the cast. You have Eric Nam as Avatar Aang. Funny, this guy Eric, I saw the name and I was like, do I know that guy? And you know where I've seen this guy is in The Traitors. He was in one of the recent seasons of The Traitors, and he was terrible at finding traitors. So I think it's really funny. I didn't draw that, until after when I was doing the research. He's a celebrity in some other rights, but that is the only other thing that I've seen him in is The Traitors. So Eric Nam, he's got that kind of I'm a man, but I'm still kind of a boy thing in his voice. And we'll talk again about how successful we think the voice cast was. It's a lot of new casting, Tyler. There's not really any returning folks, even in the characters that we know, with one major exception. But to keep going, we got Dave Bautista as Taga, who we'll talk about kind of, the crux of where this thing goes, and a character that we see in many different, kind of playing different roles among the team and within the story. Jessica Matten as Katara, who I have to say, I think this is one of the people who I have no relationship with from any other work. Roman, Zaragoza as Sokka. Again, I think this is primarily a voice actor, so I wasn't familiar with any other work. Dion Kwan as Toph, who is actually blind, in kind of a cool thing. She was the voice of Kimmy in the Rugrats. You remember Kimmy from the Rugrats?
Oh, yeah, I do remember Kimmy from the Rugrats.
So a well-traveled voice actor. Steven
Chucky's
Yeun.
younger sister.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and she's Trixie Tang from The Fairly Odd Parents.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Steven Yeun as Zuko, which was something they tried to keep secret for a little bit, for like 3 months, and then they're like, oh yeah, he's here, but who knows who he's playing. So it's good to see Steven Yeun. He obviously is a man who knows about eye wounds from his time in The Walking Dead. Just keep this guy away from baseball bats. But other than that, he's
and
playing Zuko.
named Negan.
And he, Steven Yeun obviously has been in other voice acting roles, specifically in Invincible, playing the title character there. Taika Waititi's in this thing as a spirit that shows up for a minute. So I think he of the extraneous people maybe was the easiest to recognize for me, because if you hear one Taika character, you kind of hear them all. Geraldine Viswanathan. Apologize to Geraldine, but I remember her from, I believe, the Thunderbolts movie. I think she was in, so she's like in a bit part in some Marvel stuff, and she plays a member of this group, the Denied, who we'll talk about. Ronnie Chiang as this Fire Nation messenger, probably maybe the funniest scene that we'll talk about. So a little part in there. Ken Jeong is in this thing as the cabbage guy, which
which is.
I hope he earned his money, for that.
Yeah, he should have.
It's just getting Ken Jeong on the cast list for that one. And this is the only returning guy from the original series, D. Bradley Baker playing Appa and Momo. So good for him. Freda Pinto as Avatar Sonam, who we'll talk about. Kihoi Kwan as Avatar Xian. And so I would say that everybody, with the exception of Taika, until I looked back after, did not realize that they were these kind of big names.
Oh, yeah. No.
So
it's but Taika his voice is immediately recognizable.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of those things where it's like, well, that's that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't hide from me.
Or it's someone like trying to be like a Taika type character, but then
like
you look after and
whatever.
It's
the same as this. I forget his name, but the dude who does Smiling Friends, who's also Orange Fish in. It's like. You can't make that voice up. You can't have somebody do that. That's just that guy.
Yeah. Last note here, just while we're talking about the Sinatra Stats, from a casting angle, I think that there was a lot of discussion probably in the early days of this thing about, should they bring back the original voice cast? Should they go in a different direction? Everybody's aged up. So, in the original series, Toph was basically a child. Everyone was teenager, tweenager to varying degrees. So they decided to go with an aged up voice cast from a voice angle. Obviously, the people in real time aged as well. But these voice actors that play children, they're able to play children like into their 50s, 60s, 70s.
Dante Bosco, the guy who plays Zuko, who was also Rufio from the movie Hook with Robin Williams, sounds identical to the way that he sounded in like the recording of Zuko. He still sounds exactly like that.
Yep.
In his regular speaking voice.
Exactly. So if they do any more like contemporaneous stuff, maybe we will see some of the OG cast.
Oh, Zuko, Dante Bosco, I think, has already confirmed that he's going to be back for like other Avatar Studio things.
And I think the volume of this stuff is going to just start accelerating. That's the whole point of why they made this Avatar Studios thing. So the future is exciting for folks that are, into Avatar and wish there was more of it. Will we regret that? Is this sort of an Avatar monkey's paw situation? We'll find out, but we got to start talking about this because this is the very first thing that they've ever done, and it's a film, feature length, something that they have not done before. These people are used to having a film, Tyler, and they're used to having, many episodes to kind of draw these long, extended arcs, and this is not that. This is a contained story. It is with people that we know about, but we'll talk about, maybe the good and the bad and of, having this kind of different format, maybe where we wish that they would have had more time on a season, or what we think was good about having this be a more self-contained story. I think
but before we do that, we should probably tell them that we're going to start spoiling stuff soon, Jackie.
Oh, yeah, we're going to start spoiling. In fact, I feel like when I went through the cast, if, the eagle-eared listener would have heard maybe one or two cheap spoilers. They're not things that are like that important, but I might have thrown in something that would be something you don't know until a few minutes into this thing. In any case, folks, we're going to spoil everything right now. All right.
We're spoiling it.
So if you haven't seen Avatar Aang, if you didn't see it in April when it leaked, if you didn't see it, if you don't have Paramount Plus, if you've seen it on a bootleg, if you were in New York or LA and you saw it in one of those theater things, if this is on a VHS tape that your Uncle Enzo copied for you and allowed you to play on his Zenith television, okay, we're going to spoil it. It doesn't matter how you saw it. All right?
I don't care. CRTV, projector style, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
We're spoiling it now.
We're going to spoil every part of it because now we're getting to the Sinatra summaries. And we're going to start with Tyler's summary, which I'm sure is short, succinct, and, just all about the business of what happens. Tyler, what is your Sinatra summary?
I really got to tell you, this is the longest one I've ever written.
Yeah, me too.
But anyway, here we go. Team Avatar is back for another animated adventure, way better than the live action, but decidedly confused on how to handle this IP. We begin as most anime-adjacent movies begin, with a flashback and a recap of the source material, so the adults in the room understand what's happening after being dragged here by their children. Now that we are privy to an entire series worth of character development, we can proceed with the conflict. Some noticeably unnamed Benless bandits have taken a secret map to an ancient avatar, Sonam's mythical spirit staff, previously thought to be lost to time. Aang seeks the help of the team and previous avatars through meditation and a bit of a montage until meeting the spirit of Avatar Jian, or Xian. Is it Jian?
I think it's Jian.
Jian. Anyway,
close enough.
Avatar Jian, who directs him to the not-so-surprised villain by way of telling Aang of Sonam's last sighting, a big mountain. Aang sends the word to the team, but doesn't wait and fully free climbs the most difficult route up the mountain in a storm alone, despite being able to make an earth-bending elevator or go Avatar mode and fly. Regardless, we reach the top and find an Avatar sphere, just like the one we found in the flashback we saw at the beginning of the film. So we crack it open and reveal, a base set Airbender, maybe even demo game plastic pack, or like a limited edition Alpha Black Lotus for my MTG heads out there. Not a White Lotus tile, that's a different card. It doesn't matter. He's ancient, he's cool, he's ripped, and most of all, the mountain's falling, so we need to go. Aang goes Avatar and saves the new guy, gets tired, gets saved by the new guy, both get tired, then Appa comes in and swings in with the crew for the full save. Finally, we meet the first person that could be a bad guy in this movie that also gets a name, Taga. He knows what the staff is, and that it prints airbenders. So we're just gonna go with it, ignoring how Taga occasionally does attempted murder. We're just gonna ignore that part.
I'm sure it's fine.
He also knows some really sweet airbending, But then he leads you into eternal storms without warning anyone and convinces you to abandon all of your friends, almost killing them. But hey, we're all people here. At least we got to the secret spirit island where Aang can hopefully talk to Sonam, which was his goal from the beginning of the movie. No, he goes straight to the locked door. He doesn't try to talk to Sonam at all, even though he just saw her in spirit form fly through a thing. He just goes straight to the staff. Blue Skidoo, we can too, while Taga destroys this ship, outclasses the rest of the team, literally killing them, if not for magic island water, and the fact that Katara is canonically a waterbending healing god in the story. Well, here we are. Aang betrayed, Taga just absolutely demolishing everybody, including Aang, in a fight, takes the staff, steals Appa, goes Team Bandit, then starts making his way to the location of Sonam's old temple, which happens to be Republic City, the newly built capital of the world, started by Aang and Team Avatar. But we have no way to get there. Never mind. Aang can just call the ocean spirit and it can sort of just teleport you there. Feel like the spirit world and one really forced in cameo. Somehow, everyone is in the same place again, but now we're fighting. The Bendless Bandits are now bending masters, and Taga must have a keystone or a megastone at the same time because he's built different. He's mega evolved or something. Aang fights Taga, and the rest of the fights, fight the artists formerly known as the Bendless Bandits. Cool fight stuff happens until Aang somehow redirects Taga's lightning air, gets the staff, and then goes Gear 5. Some people say Zoan devil fruits have a will of their own and can take over the will of other devil fruit eaters. Mythical Zoans even more than regular Zoans. But Aang is totally fine, and he keeps his composure. He has a bit of an overkill moment with Taga, but then breaks the staff, proving that he is the Peace Avatar. We Deus Ex Machina everything bad that was happening, and have a small epilogue where we find a hidden valley of bison that could have, at any point, flown beyond the bounds of the island that they were on, but just didn't. They fly off Jurassic Park 3 style into the sunset. The end.
And then Toto's Africa plays loudly.
Yeah, Toto's Africa plays. Oh, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
all right.
That's what happened. That's the movie.
All right, here was my view on it.
I even referenced Pokemon cards and Magic the Gathering and some One Piece. I threw that in there. That was fun.
Some of your best work. Maybe a few extra spoilers in there.
Grar 5.
Just for the listener, my wife bought some pants. She's a big, One Piece fan. And she bought these pants thinking they were Gear 5 pants. And there was a typo. So now she has these pants say Grar 5.
Grar. Aang went Grar 5.
He went full Grar on him.
He went Grar 5 at the end.
All right, here is my take on this. Though still haunted by his past, a now 20-something Avatar Aang has a baby face, a bulky bod, and boundless energy for recovering airbender relics. As he brings a newfound statue of a mysterious Sonam back to his old air temple, he is attacked by a group of woe-is-me non-benders called the Denied, who break the statue, revealing a map inside. They take it and get away because Aang is actively trying to save their lives while destroying countless UNESCO World Heritage sites en route to their airship. Full of questions, Aang, with Appa and Momo, returns to Republic City, a utopian vision of post-war oceanfront living, where all nations live together in apparent harmony, and the Cabbage Guy can rest assured that his cart will remain forever intact, just in time for Katara's groundbreaking ceremony. Afterward, at their lovely Republic City estate, Aang is sad that he's the last airbender, but needs to find out who that Sonam character is, so he enlists the help of his past avatars, speed dating style, going all the way back to the diminutive and foot-phobic Avatar Xian, who remembers Sonam as the Lost Avatar and tells Aang to check Mount Baihu, where Sonam was last seen. Oh, and also there's this magic super weapon staff that the Denied might be interested in. This sounds like a job for Team Avatar. Aang leaves immediately without talking to Katara, instead leaving a note telling her to rally up the gang, with even more notes. Sokka, Zuko, and Toph receive these notes and are soon en route to the Mountain of Destiny, where Aang finds it harder than you would think for an airbender/avatar to reach the summit. When he does, he gets intense deja vu in the form of an Iceman. Could this be Sonam? Aang F's around in a bid to find out, but the massive amount of spirit energy released brings down the mountain, and Aang is only saved by the mysterious Iceman and Team Avatar riding Deus Ex Appa. Turns out the Iceman is not Sonam, but an ancient airbender and Sonam's shredded and handsome acolyte Taga. He seems a little prejudiced, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Taga explains that the staff is not a simple superweapon, but it can actually turn people into airbenders, something that Sonam did to him. This makes Aang and the group at large very excited, and they immediately set out to race the Denied to the staff's location in Zuko's airship. Taga shouts, "We don't need maps where we're going," and deftly guides the crew on instinct through some beautiful skyscapes, teaching Aang some ancient airbender stuff along the way. Gosh, isn't Taga great? The first real test comes as the gang approaches the very scary and awesomely named Immortal Storm. Here, they encounter the Denied again, and Taga almost kills them all, if not for everyone being like, "WTF, Taga?" Taga tells Aang to help him clear a path through the storm, leaving his friends in the ship as they struggle to stay in the air. When they finally break through to the eye of the storm, we see that those aren't islands at all. They're lion turtles.
Whoa.
Apparently, the same ones that taught people how to bend all those years ago. Don't worry about it. As Aang goes to claim the staff, Taga attempts to murder everyone in a heel turn that no one saw coming. But it does make his airbender supremacist tattoos make a lot more sense. He tells a horrified Aang that it's just what needs to happen and to stop being such a Sonam, taking the staff for himself and immediately going to the Denied, who he just tried to unceremoniously kill, to offer them free airbending powers. Aang is able to connect with Sonam, who tells him he effed up pretty bad. Luckily, Aang finds out that his friends and the most popular characters in the franchise are actually not dead, mainly due to Katara and the amazing healing power of the water in this place. Since Taga blew up the airship, they have to call in a little spirit favor and go to the spirit world via Ocean Spirit Airlines. Once inside, they all do their own Benjamin buttoning up and down and encounter a great spirit gorilla Vark who helps them get to Sonam's spirit temple, where Taga is trying to do bad stuff. Turns out Taga is trying to drop the temple right on their precious Republic City, killing thousands, a plan which the recently recruited Denied have no notes on. In the ensuing battle, Aang fights a spirit-juiced evil Taga, while the gang fights the no longer Denied. When Aang finally takes the staff back, he starts to get corrupted by its power. Taga is basically Palpatine and Vader combined at the end of Return of the Jedi, and tells him to use the power to kill him and take his rightful place as heir to the Air Empire. But Aang pulls a modified Luke Skywalker and refuses to murder Taga, instead breaking his lightsaber of a staff and taking away everyone's ill-begotten airbending powers to the chagrin of the now once again Denied. Now, Taga has to live as a normal person again, right? No, he just kind of floats up and disintegrates, but not before repeating a heartfelt quote from earlier in the film. Well, that's how you do it, folks. Republic City is totally fine, and Aang starts his own little airbender crew, sans powers. Too bad he's still the last airbender. Oh, I almost forgot. There's a whole Lost Bison Jurassic Appa situation, and now the once extinct sky bison are considered invasive again. So, that is my take.
There you go. Thing. Yeah.
Now, before we get into nothing but the best, Tyler, one question that I wrote down here, and I don't really know the best place to discuss this. So we kind of talked about the fact that, let me just take us back to the whole island situation. So they arrive in the airship at the island. Aang sees the spirit go in, and he knows that's where he's got to go.
That's where he's got to go.
Taga at first wants to go with Aang to follow and go do stuff on the island. But then I can't remember who says it, but basically it's determined that Taga should stay back with the team. Yeah. What if Taga went with Aang? What if there was no Taga in the situation and he got the staff? Was there a way that Aang could have used this staff in a positive, peaceful way, and we just have airbenders again? Or was this truly like a dark side, like the power is too great for anybody kind of thing?
Well, ultimately, I think what happens is Taga goes with Aang. They open the staff door thing, and Taga immediately yoinks it and kills everybody.
Well, but he killed everybody before he followed Aang.
I know. I'm saying, but then it would be like
you just think it would have happened at the same,
before.
But in
yeah,
reverse.
It would have been in a different order. He would have killed Aang first because he would have had the confrontation. Are you gonna let all this behind you and be a sociopath with me? And then he's like, no, I don't want to do that. And then he would be like, staff, lightning to your heart, and then Aang's dead, and then he just kills everybody else super easy. He has the staff. He can fly.
Yeah. I feel like, I think the downside of this not being a series overall, and I want to say that this is not, let me see, I don't think this comes up exactly in any of my demerits or anything below, but I think it would have been interesting to see a version of this story that took place over X amount of episodes instead of all at once over 90 minutes, because you can see places where it would have been nice to understand Taga's motivations, maybe see more of Taga when he was a non-bender, maybe more to let us
more
feel
flashbacks from Taga's perspective, seeing people get hurt and being like, this is why I need to
because
be violent.
A lot in this movie they tell you, Taga is this way because he saw people die. But it still feels like a really aggressive heel turn and so uncompromising. And the fact that Taga is at all points leading up to that point to get to the island more or less okay with everybody. He's this weird amount of calculated and conniving that I feel like was unearned at certain points. And we might get into some of that in the below, but yeah, I think overall, I think this was a good first attempt at a film. I think
it was fun.
I think it was probably hard for them after so much time off to come back and only have this one thing and not a full series like they're used to. And you can feel that certain things were probably left on the cutting room floor. One thing that I also wish is that, we got a little bit more time with the characters that we love to be with. And again, I think that's just a casualty of needing to tell a succinct and focused story and only having so much time to do so. I do wonder, though, if increasing the runtime of this thing by 15 or 20 minutes would have actually benefited the film. It's very short in modern terms. Don't get me wrong. When I see a movie that's 90 minutes, I'm like, okay, this is going to fly by. It's probably going to be a great time. But I feel like maybe they trimmed the fat a little too much. I think some of the fat is a lot of the best stuff in Avatar. Yeah. But in any case, let's get to it, Tyler. And we are going to start with the positive. We're going to go nothing but the best. This is the 5 best, starting at the bottom with our 5th and going up to 1. And we'll talk about everything that we liked about this. And starting with your number 5, Tyler.
My number 5, Jackie. I made some comments about this while we were talking about the live action. But it did make my best parts, regardless of how I feel about how it's formatted. I understand it in the format of a movie. The music is great. The music is wonderful. It harkens back a little bit to the old stuff, but it doesn't do ultimately the thing that I want it to do, which is backscoring the whole thing. I am not going to complain about it. Again, this is like the positives. The music is very good. There are emotional moments. They use it correctly. But it is one of those things where it is decidedly, this music is made for a movie. This is made to be released in a theater, and you can tell it, like the intention with writing some of the stuff, you can hear it. And you're like, this is meant to be in a big room, experienced with multiple people on surround sound, not on a home screen or watching it on your cell phone. That's not what it was designed for. So with all of that in mind, and putting aside my personal feelings toward like the Mickey Mousing of it all in the original, I think the music is really great in this.
Yeah. My number 5 is kind of a combination of everything production-wise. I just say I've written here amazing production value. I wish I saw it on a big screen, and I mean, this was, I think, the biggest, again, palate cleanser coming from the live action, where the ambition was so much higher than the execution. And obviously they didn't have the full buy-in of the original creatives in the live action. And so to have this coming from, the same people that actually built the thing that we love, knowing that they were behind it and that the execution on all the stuff that we were kind of complaining about from a live action perspective was fantastic. There's a lot of big set pieces that I think are really good. And again, were really designed for a theater experience. So it's really a shame that is not really the case. But if you've got a good home theater and a good sound system, it's really, it's really built for that. The animation is fantastic. The score is fantastic. And I thought that overall, with very few exceptions, I thought the voice cast was really good.
Yeah.
An interesting note on the voice cast is that there was actually a focus on casting people from the backgrounds or the intended backgrounds of the characters more so than in the original series, which I thought was interesting. Like I shared that the actor for Toph is actually a blind person.
Blind, yeah.
But also culturally, like some of the casting that they did was based on the intended, overall background, even though this is obviously, it's the same thing as like One Piece, where obviously this is a fictional world, but Luffy's based on, a Brazilian, et cetera, et cetera. Similar things here with the backgrounds of these characters. So I thought the voice cast did a great job, not because of that, but, basically that's just another layer that went into it. And I think that there are some people that are very, 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 they want to always hear the original voice cast in their head, and so that is a critique that I've seen. But what are you going to do? You got to move on at some point. And I understand why they did it. I think it was the right choice to get a new voice cast for this thing. And I think especially the main folks and Dave Bautista, who I don't know if has Dave Bautista done a lot
I don't know if he's done
voice
other
work
voice
specifically,
work.
But I thought he did a great job. He's
Me
good
too.
in almost everything I've ever seen him in. So yeah, I was really happy with just everything from a production standpoint. Everybody, you can tell that a lot of work was put into this thing, and everybody did a great job. So. All right, let's end the podcast. No.
Yeah, we're done. That was all I have to say. Number 4.
Number 4.
Evil airbending. I always thought it was kind of weird that, like, even the originals, they're like, well, airbenders never do anything wrong. They were just peaceful little guys who never did anything. And we get this big lore drop in this where it's like, well, turns out a long time ago there was not only were they like super powerful and like the hierarchy of how we understand how like fire is like burns and sort of OP, and then earth is probably next because it's like really strong, and then water, and then air. The hierarchy is kind of whatever your thoughts on it were, it's sort of jumbled now. It's like, oh, wow, he can do everything that an earthbender can do, kind of, just with air all the time. He could crush the ships. He could do the lightning bolt with air, essentially. He was killing you. He was just shooting air through your heart.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Really cool to have a bad boy airbender. Especially when I found it so unbelievable that there wasn't somebody who thought, in the same way we find out that bloodbending is a thing in the original Avatar, you're like, you mean not a single airbender has ever once thought, what's the limit to this power and how could I hurt somebody? Yeah. And there, we found it. Here we are. This is where we're at, and boy, is he scary.
Yeah.
He, like, completely outclasses everybody when he, like, shows his teeth. So I think it's interesting.
And I think there were some interesting things thrown in there that you wish that we could have more time, or maybe an entire series on that period, because number one, it was so far back in time that a bunch of the more recent avatars didn't even know about it. So it's like, how long ago was that? They talked about it as an air empire, so just, imagine what that could mean. They talked about the Earth Kingdom being the main aggressors of, the invasion of Sonam's city, which was a quote-unquote utopia. What was that like? I'm sure it wasn't really utopia. There's a lot of when Taga was kind of talking about everything through rose-colored glasses where you were like, I'm sure.
Unreliable narrator.
Yeah. And it was like, Sonam oversaw this entire era of peace. It's like, peacekeepers. He was talking about peacekeepers, and it made me feel like, airbenders were kind of the world police kind of situation. And
kind of what I was thinking, too.
Probably rose up, because they had enough. It would just be, I think it's a fascinating thing. I also just loved how, from an iconography standpoint, you saw the apparent evolution of the airbender tattoos. They went from the cool, pointillistic stuff, ancient, and then now they just got the modern, like, corporate arrow down.
Yeah. This is an arrow. Don't you get it?
So that was kind of neat. I think it'll be fascinating to see where they go after this series that's coming out that's after Legend of Korra. I'd love to see them go into the past. And maybe touch on some of this stuff. And, so that was your number 4, was just evil airbenders.
Yeah, evil airbender.
My number 4 is the Avatar speed dating. I just love anytime they do that. I think that's one of the coolest parts of this whole Avatar thing. And they've done it before, mostly with Roku and Kyoshi. But it was fun to see him cycling back, trying to find, and you wonder how many he went through until he finally got to Jian, who was the one who finally, knew or had heard a legend about Sonam. Who even knows how far back from Jian, that went? But clearly something lost to time. And then also packaged in with this is, I think there were some successful cameos. Again, I think your mileage may vary on the Taika Waititi. I think if you don't know who he is, maybe it doesn't bother you.
The only reason it bothered me is because it was following what I found to be the most egregious use of, you're stuck. How do we get? We're teleporting. We can't, that part of it is inexcusable to me. I don't care that there was it's like,
why didn't they use the ocean spirit to get there?
Right. My brain is like, so the ocean spirit, they could have used it to get there the first time. We're not going to talk. Okay, whatever.
We can shelve that, yeah.
We could shelve that part of it, but like, they introduced 2 spirits, 1 scene. They bring back the ocean spirit, don't give them a voice. They send you through a teleporter thing that you don't need to interact with anybody, and then they give you another character who happens to be a cameo. It was like, okay, well, you're just putting this in because you can get him in the room and have him say the lines.
You know what I thought was going to happen when Aang said, I have a favor to call in from somebody, and the ocean started bubbling. I thought it was going to be the serpent past serpent, Tyler.
Oh, the serpent's past serpent.
That would have been very funny.
Finally, we can travel by sea.
They could have done something where, like, Katara creates a bubble that goes under the storm. Couldn't they have, like... I mean, there are other ways.
There's a multitude of things that they could have done.
There are other things they could have done.
We just don't need to... I don't want to mention that, like, there's... They fly above the clouds multiple times with Appa. And I don't want to be that guy, but the weather above the clouds
there's
is
gotta
like...
there's got to be, like, a green zone and a zone in which Appa can't breathe anymore. I don't know.
All I'm saying is they've flown above, like, bad weather before. Whatever.
They should have had more, like, anime-style hair-splitting dialogue where they, like, clearly explain the mechanics as to why they need to do such and such.
We can't go up there. If we do go up there, the air will be too thin. We just go into, like, a Dr. Stone episode. It's crazy.
I started watching this anime called Blue Lock about this soccer facility in Japan where they're trying to breed, like, the ultimate striker, and they're all just, like, constantly talking about the tactics of the game. It's like, oh, they're pulling their winger and forcing him centrally so that he will occupy more space in midfield.
That's what that means. Yeah, no, it's... yeah.
But yeah, the cameo piece of it, so not only the Avatar speed dating, Xi'an, the Gorilla Vark, I think some people, that's maybe their favorite part of the movie. Sonam.
Really? The Gorilla Vark is some people's favorite part of the movie.
There are children that watch this stuff. Some of the children, that's going to be their favorite part of the movie.
That's crazy.
I guarantee you.
It doesn't make any sense. Whatever.
But that's a nice Momo moment. It's like the only
Momo
moment.
That's true. It's like he goes...
He, like, convinces him to help, basically. And, okay, anyway, let's move on from that piece of it. Sonam is there. That is a cameo from Freida Pinto, who you might know from Slumdog Millionaire back in the day. And also as Usha Vance in the Vance movie.
Really?
Yeah, was that? Funny. The Hillbilly Elegy. Yeah, funny.
Wait, really?
What a career.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it is funny. Yeah, Amy Adams was in that movie.
Oof.
Cabbage Guy was Ken Jeong, as we've discussed. I mean, okay, let me say this. I know that this is the positive section. I think that having the Cabbage Guy at the beginning and then just having him there, not saying anything, I was like applauding at that point.
That's it.
I was like, here we go.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. The making a moment out of it, to me, it's like the most obvious, most forced bit of fan service. Who is standing up and applauding that part of it at this point? So it didn't merit a demerit, but I'm just saying, like, I'm glad that Ken Jeong got a paycheck. It's just, fun. It's like, oh, yeah, he was there too. But it's like the Cabbage Guy. We need to riff on the Cabbage Guy. We do not need to do the same Cabbage Guy. It can be like a little Easter egg for people who know, and we don't need to, like, hit... you don't need to hit us on the head. You don't need to have him say it. Guy.
Have him own a storefront in Republic City. Don't have it be a cart, and just have the whole... have the store be called My Cabbages. And have him standing outside, welcoming people into his store, and being like, "This is a whole storefront with cabbages called My Cabbages. Come on in."
It's don't like Eustace in Courage the Cowardly Dog. He gets mad at the dog in a different way across the series. Okay, it's like it starts as like stupid dog, but you can like continue to expand and like maybe one time instead of saying My Cabbages, he just like completely internalizes it and is shaking with rage. And in your mind, that's what you're saying.
He's like, oh, he's thinking My Cabbage is so bad right now.
I think
he just can't say it.
I think we need more nuance there. But my number 4 remains, some fun cameos and some interesting names to show up on the casting list. Good for Avatar Studios for bagging. And, of course, Dave Bautista. He's not really even a cameo. He's a main character, but, a big get, let's say.
Big name.
And then, I mean, just from a casting perspective, we've already gone over it, but in the main cast as well, we've got big names. Steven Yeun probably, along with Bautista being the biggest. All right, let's go to your number 3, Tyler.
Number 3, the comedy of it all. We've talked about I think the voice. You were mentioning the voice actors. I have a slight shout out to the voice actors. I think they do well with the lines. Like when Aang's going through the meditation montage and he's getting tired and all of his exasperation, does a good job. Jian, funny. The foot stuff is funny. Him not liking feet.
Yeah.
The Momo moment. Well, I didn't think of it like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Despite how much or how little I like that scene, it's like, oh, it is funny. That is funny. And while I don't think the music leaned into the humor of the original as much, I think the writing did. And it landed a higher spot. I liked that they weren't as gritty and serious. There's a time for it. There are moments when they are, but there are other times when it's relaxed and it's funny and lighthearted. And we're just having a good little adventure with, like, when Toph is making fun of Aang and still calling him or right after she does the fight and I'm still the greatest earthbender in the world. I'm bored now. It's like...
Yeah. Something that comes off way better in animation than in the live action, by the way.
For sure. And and again, maybe it is just the fact that it is live action, but they leaned into the sort of original style of the source material, which is a tongue-in-cheek, sarcastic little romp that ends up having some serious notes with some adult war themes.
I think they nailed the soul of the main characters.
For sure.
Despite having different actors.
Yeah, despite the voice actors. Yeah. It was like true to form. When Zuko it's like, somebody needs to tell me if this man is attractive or not.
Yeah.
He's hot. He's just like, he's attractive.
It's the bone structure.
It's the bone structure. Great. It's like, that is like classic Avatar stuff shining through to this one. And the heart and soul, the comedy of it all, I really enjoyed.
I have something similar on this list as well, but I'll expand on that when we actually get there. But yeah, that's a good shout. My number 3 is what I call Aang Deanna Jones. Aang, temple diving, to be honest with you, I wish that was kind of its own movie. Just Aang going to these ancient air temples, encountering, various booby traps, and
I think they're setting that up for a series.
That would be fun.
Because it's way hard, like it's way easier to go like, oh, dungeon, like every episode's a dungeon.
Yeah, that'd be fun. He's kind of almost like curating these artifacts, and it would be a great way as well to expand on some of this Avatar history that we're talking about that is as of yet undeveloped. This world, I mean, they've kind of set it up where we can go way into the future or we can go way into the past, and there's so many different avatars and different time spans that we could take a look at. So, I think there's a lot there. Again, I kind of wish that there was more of that, but it was a fun intro, I would say, with Aang. Obviously, we have the little setup where our first shot of the entire thing is, baby Aang again, on his glider on a race, and then we get reintroduced to Gyatso, who's kind of like, hampering his ability to win and teaching him lessons along the way. And then we go right into, he wakes up and he's on this quest, and then we meet, bang, 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 bang. We'll talk about the Denied maybe in a future section. But, the bit of it of just him, I got this ancient statue. Who is this? I need to find out more information. I'm being careful with all this, historical stuff is fun. So that's my number 3, Aang Deanna Jones. Let's go to your number 2, Tyler.
Number 2, the fights, Jackie. The fights.
At last.
good. They're so good. I know they're not actors doing it, but you still have to storyboard all of this. You still have to have the vision of how these characters are moving. Aang versus the Demerits in the beginning, it's 3v1, 3 non-benders, or 4. It's 4v1, 4 non-benders, 1 with fire arrows, 1 big pole arm. It's like you get variants of weapons,
let's list
variants
the
of
denied.
fighting.
Try to list the denied. There's
Fire Arrow Girl. There's
is Fire Arrow Girl
arm.
the same one as? Does she have the mask on, or is that a different one? Because there's the one with like the eye cover. There's the guy with the big pole, the big fat guy.
Yeah, she's the same one. The eye cover comes off, but she has like face paint on.
There's the one that Aang saves that is like she's going to be one of his air acolytes at the end. And then who's the fourth one? What is the distinguishing?
The fourth one's the speaking role one. The one who says he has like the shaved beard and he says the line when he's like the one that's animated the best. He's the one that has like a
somehow the most forgettable for me.
I know. He does. None of them have names. This is like part of the point I was making earlier in the thing. It's like you know that they're not going to be the bad guy because not a single one of them says their name or like introduces you or like.
But at the same,
we gotta kill the Avatar.
Let's talk a lot more about them in the next section.
Yeah.
But
the fights are great. Like the choreography
is
great. The Aang versus the Denied. The Toph training session is really cool with like the metal piece flying by and her just like
ties
going
them all
easy
up in a little
mode.
package.
No hands, just legs. Taga versus Team Avatar plus the Aang fight like on the island. It's the coolest showcase of airbending when he hits Zuko with the uppercut thing and then slams him to the ground. You're like, this is crazy. Nobody bends like this. There's not an earthbender who could do this. There's not who has this much power, and it's only Taga. Very cool. And then the last fight, which I call Mega Taga and Gear 5 Aang. Ultimately, Gear 5 Aang stomps, but like it's still pretty to look at. It's cool. He's floating around. They're doing blasts. It gets to the sort of... I mean, it's always sort of unbelievable with the bending, but it gets more into like the Dragon Ball Z, like laser beam territory of things towards the end, which is kind of cool. You build up in the fights, and the final fight is like, whoa, crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just like, not only are they like cool to watch individually, the fights are paced well throughout. I feel like they start on a lower, and then the energy just keeps moving up throughout the rest of them.
One thing I'll say about, you mentioned the Toph fight where it's at the beginning, kind of when she receives the note. Just one note I want to give Aang on that. You know that Toph cannot see and cannot read. You're telling me that you can't supply a raised print note so that Toph doesn't depend on one of her
can't do it, sorry.
Students to read it?
Nope.
Seems like, that might have been a nice thing to do as one of the most powerful people in the world.
Pretty ableist, if you ask me.
But yeah. Okay, that was your 2?
That was my 2.
All right, my 2 is a moment. It's a moment right at the end in the midst of that battle. It's right when Aang is about to completely obliterate our guy, Taga, with his massive spirit bomb energy thing. And then all of a sudden, the sound drops out, and he has this vision of Gyatso. And all of a sudden, and like that vision ends with like his avatar buddies flying away on their gliders away from the screen.
Yeah, the children who he was racing at the beginning of the film.
That, honestly, is the moment of the movie that gave me chills.
It's like they effectively...
Yeah.
Oh.
I wrote down that hit me in the balls.
Oh, not the walls.
But yeah, it was very effective. I think the large-scale emotional beats from the perspective of Aang's arc vis-a-vis Taga and the whole Airbender thing, which was the main thread of this entire thing, that was very effective. There were other story things that maybe I'll talk about in the next section, but yeah, that was really well done. So that's my number 2.
My number 1, Jackie, I think this probably goes without saying. You may agree with me. You may have something different for one, but I think by far the animation is the defining part of this whole experience. I was thinking, when I saw different Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar in theater for the first time, I thought
Aren't they
to myself,
related?
They're related.
I'm always
to the
watching
same
those things,
property.
waiting for Aang to come out.
Yeah. But I watched, a lot can be said about the plot of the original film. Whatever. It's not particularly original.
Smurfs.
It's Smurfs. It's it's Pocahontas on a different planet, whatever you want to call it.
Poca Planet.
Cool. You can have whatever qualms you want with the plot of the film. At the end of the day, behind the scenes, James Cameron was debuting like a 3D camera IMAX technology. And if you went to see it in the 3D IMAX, the way that Cameron intended you to watch this film, you understand sort of what the point of it all was. And the point of it was not just to make him a lot of money. He was showcasing his technology. He was showcasing his studio's power. And boy, if you were anyone who's anyone in Hollywood buying those products, you took a second look. You went to see that movie twice because you have to buy that technology for your next movie. If 3D movies maintained their popularity for more than like 5 years, that technology would be so expensive right now. He would be, not that he isn't already a millionaire, but he would be like successful just with that camera technology. And I think in a similar way, this movie is functioning the same. I can say all I want about how like the plot holes, the teleporting, all of these things that I would ultimately, it doesn't matter. You can sit down, watch it, and enjoy it. This is Flying Bark, the studio, showing their power. It's a combined 2D and 3D animation style. They're doing 2D animation in the backgrounds, 2D animations with cells and stuff for characters, but doing some 3D work when it comes to like larger scenes with flying around and moving cameras around. But ultimately, you're getting a 2D picture the entire time. It is incredible. It looks like some of the old Disney, like painted backgrounds with meticulously animated cells over and over. It is that quality, but in a modern lens. And I think if you were to just go into this movie and you don't know anything about Avatar: The Last Airbender, you don't know anything about the plot, you don't care, you're not even watching for the plot. If you go in and you're like, I'm shopping for a studio to maybe sell an idea to that I want animated, this movie just sold, like, you never need to show anybody anything else. Show them this, and your studio will sell or, like, be bought, whatever. Whatever you intend to do, you will have work for the rest of your life. Because that's how good the animation is. It's crisp, it's clean. I saw it on the leak, and it wasn't high definition. I was like, oh, maybe they need to clean this up. It was just because of the definition that I saw it under, because I didn't see... whatever. It doesn't matter the way that I got to it. The point is that in this high definition, it's incredible. I don't think that you could match them except with like a Disney. I don't know of another animation studio that would produce this quality of... And maybe it's just because they had motion picture money. Versus like serial animation, but it's that good. It is. If anybody's familiar with like One Piece Film Red, or you've seen it's like it's way better animated than any of the Toei stuff that comes to theaters in the United States. It's so good. It's better than all of the Pokemon movies that I've ever seen, and I've seen some of the newer ones. Better, way better. It's so good. They're really mixing this traditional style with modern practice, and it's really, really good. I won't take up any more time with this.
Yeah.
I want to mention two things. They're doing the same studio does Stranger Things, Tales from '85, and Tales from Outer Suburbia, which is an Australian series. So funny. The studio is also Australian. Glitch is an Australian company. Yeah. I'm wondering if Australia is where, if you're going to call somebody, you call Australia if you need your animation done for you, because, hey.
Just like them because they work all night, because their night is all day.
Exactly. Call them at 1 a.m. They're wide awake.
Yeah, exactly. A few just moments, because you're talking about the animation. I think the very first thing you see before you even see that there are airbenders that are flying on gliders, the landscape that you're seeing, it takes you a few seconds to even realize that it's animation. It's that kind of...
Yeah.
It's like you could be looking at just a drone shot or like a helicopter or airplane camera going through, this kind of airscape with these plateaus full of trees in kind of that air temple region. That piece, when they're when they're sailing in the clouds, there's just some beautiful, sunset above the clouds type stuff.
When they're in the air, all of the stuff where they're falling or flying is so... The mountain stuff, the
animation of Mount Baihu.
The tandem air flinging when he's teaching him to do the air dance in the air where they're throwing each other around is crazy.
And then there was one spot that I specifically called out, and it's hard to kind of describe in words, but there was a transition between at the end of Mount Baihu when Taga kind of collapses on top of Appa, and then there's a transition that's like a dissolve of sorts to when they're at the camp, and it just gives the exterior shot of the camp. And just something about the way that the shot on Appa dissolved into the shot of the camp, and you saw I don't know if it was dew or little pieces of mist, or there's something about however they managed that was just an incredible just visual transition. So there was so much care put into, I think, every single piece from a visual standpoint. So yeah, I think that's a good number one. My number one is kind of calling back to, I think, what was your number three. You called it, the comedy that was there. I just have here that the time that we spend with Team Avatar is great. It's fun. And the best moments for me, we have all these big set pieces and the animation is fantastic. It's good to look at. But there's these small moments that are some of my favorite moments. And that's the thing that I feel like overall we needed more of. That's why I would have increased the runtime, or I wish this was a series, because... And we already kind of, said these things, but one thing that we haven't really talked about is the scene where, he's sending out the notes, and the one that reaches Zuko is basically, there's this messenger that enters his chamber, and there's this blowhard chamberlain that's there that's all about decorum and rules, and the messenger doesn't want to interrupt the chamberlain, and
Zuko's just say it.
Zuko's yeah, if it's from the Avatar, it must be important. And he starts reading
it. Directly references the Chamberlain being an asshole.
Yeah. And he's Flameo Hot Man, how's ruling the Fire Nation? And it's just this very, informal.
Flameo Hot Man.
And yeah, this is the Chamberlain. You got the conversation when this is after everyone has healed in the waters and before they call on the ocean spirit. They're kind of sitting on the beaches of these lion turtle islands, and there's well, I don't know what we can do now. And Toph is like, well, if we got to stay here, there's not even enough islands for everyone. I call this one. This is Snappy. And Sokka's like, aw, Snappy's the best one.
Yeah.
We already talked about Xian and his, like, he's like, hey, are people still wearing sandals in your time? He's like,
yeah.
Disgusting. Why do we have to look at people's feet all day? And then he's like, he mentions like an ex-lover of his or something, and he's like, yeah, she had weird-looking feet.
Weird feet, yeah.
Yeah, the bone structure thing with Zuko. Is he attractive? We had Toph kind of having like a crush on Taga. At one point, she's just like embracing him randomly, and then at the end, she's like, yeah, I'm off Bad Boys now. And yeah, I think that's about all I have for that one. But yeah, there were just some fun moments. I like these moments that remind us of just the rapport of the gang from the original series. So there was a little bit of that. I wish there was more of it. Let's go.
Always keep them wanting more.
Well, yeah. The trick though with that is, I guess it's good that they have this series coming, but I mean, clearly we're going to want more of our team, the Team Avatar, and it's like, who knows in the future? I didn't read into if these voice actors signed any sort of a multi-movie contract. I would highly doubt it.
Yeah, I would too.
I mean, we know basically that it's highly unlikely that Taga's going to be around again.
No, he got Thanos snapped or whatever.
Yeah. Which we'll talk about later. Okay, let's get to the Demerits.
Didn't make any sense.
Let's get to the Demerits. This is the stuff we wish, could have been better. I think some of these for me are nitpicks.
A little bit. Some of them.
Let me just say though, Tyler, before we really actually get into this, let me just say something we didn't mention in the Sinatra Stats is that this movie. Listen, this was not a wide theatrical release, so it doesn't have like the overall review volume of something like Spider-Man: Brand New Day. But the reviews that are there, of which I think there were at least 40 or 50, it does have a 91% from critics and a 99% audience score. So this is a movie that people like overall. Yeah. Okay?
Overall.
So let's give our demerits with that in mind. I enjoyed this film, but we have notes. And those notes are, Tyler, 5.
Number 5, Jackie. I normally call it ham fisting, but I'm going to call it cabbage fisting references. It's like, we mentioned the cabbage one before. I can't really think of other ones off the top of my head because the one that I had noted was the cabbage one. But it's like there are some references that you could just leave on the table. You can show them to us, and those who know will know.
Let me say one more off the top of my head. The whole... Let's explain the entire original series. Honestly, did we need to do that?
Right. I don't know.
I
don't think so.
I just really don't think we needed to do that. I think that the parents who might need that information don't even care and are probably not locked into that anyway. I think we just... I don't know. It's just such
It's just like there's a way to reference stuff.
If this was a series, you'd just have a last time on, and you wouldn't have that piece of it. It's like, this is a movie. We don't need to do like a last time on. Just tell a story with these characters, and the people that care to go access the original material can do that. But I don't think it added anything. And also what it did is it completely... I think it would have been more effective if we had not shown, here's an example of the Fire Nation, that's Zuko. Here's an example of the Earth Nation, that's Toph. I think if we had actually had it be a quote-unquote surprise that they're getting involved in the story at all, it would have just been a little bit more fun maybe than... I think
you're like immediately showing them off at rip, and it's just, again, there's ways to do it.
The only thing worse than showing them early, before they're introduced into the story would have been if they had done that as that early device and then they were not in the story at all. But I think it would have just been better if they didn't have that whole thing. It's like,
It's a matter of either choosing to be
but,
subtle or laying it all out on the table right in front of everybody, and nobody likes somebody who throws food on the table. So why don't we be a little bit more subtle about it? Subtlety is an art form. It's not that big of a deal, but there's a few instances of it. That's why it's my number 5 demerit.
Yep. All right. Anything else on that?
Nah, it's not that important.
My number 5 is the unfortunate and perhaps understandable sidelining of Team Avatar, and underlined, no Suki in this thing.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. No one had
Suki's
an arc.
not normally a part of it, really.
Yeah, but I think that having a moment with Suki or the Kyoshi Warriors, apart from there was a moment where you see him, but like it would have been kind of fun to have a little bit of that in there. No one had an arc except Aang, and that again, I think I understand why, because this is a feature film and you need to have a focused story. But I think some of the best films are still able to have multiple characters having some sort of growth within the story. Instead, what we get here, I think, is similar to kind of an Ocean's 11, where you've got Brad Pitt and you've got George Clooney, and they are the main people, and they have most of the arc, maybe Matt Damon a little bit. But then you've got these extraneous characters who are there fulfilling their roles within the plot, but are not really growing in any way. And so that is kind of the role of Team Avatar in this thing, is they're there, they're kind of playing the beats of what we would expect from them as, their characters. Toph says some Toph stuff, Zuko says some Zuko stuff, but like these characters within the scope of this story are effectively already arced out and just kind of playing the hits, whereas the whole kind of narrative growth happens with Aang and, Taga, obviously. He doesn't, can you say he's got an arc? I guess.
No.
But it's mostly just deception, and then he shows his true face, and then he realizes he's got, so he has one last tender moment. But yeah, it's basically all about Aang. Oh, I'm the last airbender. Darn. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I have a chance to get more airbenders. You know what? Maybe this is too much power for anyone to have. I'm okay with not having airbenders. Let me just teach people about my culture, and that's good enough for now. And we found all these sky bison, so I guess they're the original airbenders. I'm not the last airbender anyway. This is great. So you get that, but from a Sokka perspective, not really anything new. From a Zuko perspective, not really anything new. Toph. Even Katara, I would say that is the one place where I do wish that there was more development from Katara as an individual, but also the relationship between.
We should have seen more of them together as like a
Actually,
a unit.
I'm kind of stepping on my number 4, which I didn't realize, but I'll just do my number 4, then you can do yours.
Yeah, do it.
The Aang-Katara relationship didn't quite get there for me. That's my 4.
Yeah.
They're married, right?
That's what it seems like.
They're as together as you could be. They're obviously pre-children, and we know canonically from Legend of Korra, I think, that they do have children.
They have kids,
and children that are airbenders, I believe.
A few of them, yeah.
Yeah, so that happens. I wish we had seen more of that relationship. They kiss at the end of the movie. It's like, okay, but I wish I had seen a little bit more of a romantic side to that relationship in the initial piece. I wish they talked more early on. I think that's why I hate, pieces of that. And I keep kind of like stepping on later points that I'll have, so I'll just leave it there. That the Aang Katara thing, I feel like we just needed more of that. I think Katara should have been like, if you're going to say that Aang and Taga are the focus, I think that Katara should have been the third person in that.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I didn't get enough from that, which is a shame because obviously, Katara is probably my least favorite part of the live action series. So I really wanted this to show me that Katara can kind of be a critical and important and enjoyable character, and it just didn't get there for me.
And it's crazy because one of the things that I just remembered, when they're in the spirit realm and they're doing the Benjamin Button stuff, Katara and Zuko are both old. The spirit refers to them as a couple, and Aang's like, not a couple, not a couple, because Zuko Katara is like a fandom thing. And it's like, that's another reference I don't need to hear. Why didn't you spend that amount of time developing Aang and Katara's actual relationship? I don't know, whatever. We don't need to keep talking about it. Because I haven't before.
And let me just, before you just jump into it, I think that they got really close to putting Katara in just the nagging partner role as well.
Yeah.
I just feel like they didn't really know what to do with Aang and Katara as a pair. And if they were trying to leave it a little bit cooler, they should have made that more clear. Like, I would have loved it if Katara was a little bit, like, perturbed that he keeps on going on all this dungeon diving stuff and he's not spending time in Republic City. Like, it would have been great if there was some tension there that they had to work through that then got resolved and that kiss actually felt like something. But it didn't really. You know, she got mad at him mainly because he left them in the dust with Taga, you know, in the Immortal Storm and all
Which
that.
Which also valid.
Yeah. But if that was a more clear line of succession from in the beginning, her getting angry about all these other little things, I think that might have had a better
stacks
payoff.
on top. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Tyler, with your 4.
Number 4 is what I like to call the Superman problem. He's a fully realized avatar. Every situation he finds himself in, he can solve immediately by going full avatar mode and romp stomping everybody. You have to depower Superman in order to have a plot for a Superman movie. You have to have Aang make mistakes and not do things correctly in order for a fully realized avatar to have a problem, to have a conflict at all. And I think this is where, like, maybe it falters a little bit, having like a big bad fight guy maybe might not be the way forward. Maybe it is this dungeon crawling adventure. This is a character story about how because nothing stands in the way of an all-powerful God guy thing. I just think it's sort of unbelievable to have. It's the same thing as every, like, Shonen Jump anime. It's like the next bad guy has to be even more powerful than the next bad guy, but your hero is already the most powerful guy in the universe. So, like, how do you... They did the thing this time. They're like, ancient power. What's next? Future power? Well, like, is somebody going to come back from the future and be like, ha! I have some other kind of bending that doesn't exist yet? Or, like, what are you going to do? Where are we going when you have fully realized Avatar? Aang learning all of the elements makes sense. It's a journey. He has to figure out how to become the Avatar. Fully realized Avatar finding a bad guy isn't nearly as interesting because if at any point he had an inkling that Kaga was a bad guy, he could have just gone full Avatar and got rid of the problem. But you can't have that happen or the movie doesn't move forward. So it's one of those things. Yeah, again, I don't have a problem with that sort of thing generally, but it's a demerit. It doesn't stop me from watching the movie, but it does tick down my expectation a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. And you talked previously about just him scaling the mountain and why isn't he just flying up there? Yeah.
He can fly. Or like at
and
least
I mean,
elevator.
The answer in a lot of cases of like, why does this happen like this? Probably because it looks cool on screen.
Looks cool. Did.
So
Did
again,
look cool.
Unless you do the whole either a conversation or an anime style, like, oh, the air is too thin up here, so I can't use my glider.
Yeah,
like,
my flying thing.
Or like this, there's a weird spirit spell by this, crazy thing that we've never seen before, which makes it a lot harder to do such and such, And that's kind of stuff that you might have had in a series where, like, instead of having 90 minutes, they draw the same story out into, like, 7, 8 episodes.
Right. Yeah.
Or whatever. Why don't you go ahead with your 3 as well, since I kind of elided two of mine.
Number 3 is Aang never once asks Taga how he does some of these crazy airbending techniques that he's doing, like the crushing of the ship, or like some of these things that he's like Taga freely gives some of the information, but he never once asks him about any of it. And to me, you set up in the beginning of the movie being like, I'm going to search for my culture. I'm looking for all these ancient pieces.
Wow.
And the man just did an airbending technique.
I could learn so much from him.
You've never seen before. And you're like, you didn't think to be like, what is, how did you, with the nomads never taught me that. This must be an ancient, teach me the ancient ways. That would have been the first thing I would have asked the guy. He never once asks him about an ancient airbending technique until Taga freely gives up the one that they use to delete the tornadoes or whatever, the sling flying spell thing. And it's, like, come on, make it a little more believable. He's been searching for artifacts. He's been digging through the dirt. You're telling me he's face to face with a guy who can talk to him and he doesn't ask him anything? Not anything. Not about, like, what's your favorite airbending move? What, like, really just mundane stuff. You could have asked him anything, and he didn't ask him anything. He doesn't care. He's like, again, Sonam. Yeah.
This would have been a whole episode where Taga's training.
It would have been like the Taga training episode.
Exactly.
It would have been ancient airbending.
And then it would have been like flashbacks to Sonam training Taga.
Exactly.
And, man, it makes me
But it's
sad.
the other part about that is it's like there's the part at the end where he essentially redirects the airbending technique at him. And it's like, you could have had a massive payoff with like a 30-second scene that's just like, show me how I see you compressing the air and holding it here on your, how are you doing that? And he's like, well, when the airbenders got into real fights and we needed to defend ourselves against the strongest of foe, we found we needed to compress the air. And the only way to do that is to be able to hold the air in your whatever, give the same sort of explanation, skip the heart, go through the stomach, do the thing that Iroh says, but it's air and whatever.
Yeah.
And then have a flashback to that when he does it and he's like, I got you, Taga, you idiot. You should never have told me that little piece. And then,
ultimately, Taga's teaching of him to do that whole, sling thing ended up being basically what I think got Aang to get the
exactly. But it's like the staff.
The staff. Then I was trying to say like scepter.
Right.
I was like,
but then the redirection of like the gunshot thing that he does is like that's completely mysterious.
And now it's completely lost. Now it's just gone.
Yeah.
I know they should have had someone writing this stuff down. And also how he was just able to like find that island through instinct. They like remarked on it, but then like no one's like, hey, how are you doing that? Like, how do you know what you're doing without a map?
Yeah, and okay. I'll mention it later. You go to the next.
My number 3 is about the Denied. Do you have the Denied any higher than this?
Well, I was going to be an extra thing that I mentioned later. Go with what you have to say, and then I'll see if I can add it.
So what I have written here, and then I have a ton of notes that I could pick through, but the Denied are pretty half-baked. There's also sort of a problematic message in here that non-benders shouldn't ever get powers because they will always abuse them. Not only with Taga being the prime example, but the Denied immediately being okay with the mass slaughter of civilians, and one even saying like, good luck saving your city. I thought that was absolutely
insane. Yeah.
And also, there's something that I think you kind of backhandedly mentioned in your summary. How are they immediately just really good at it?
That's exactly what I was going to talk about. It's like, throughout this entire thing, we've come to understand that these are essentially martial arts that you need to be trained in, and there are people who can like do it, but to like harness the actual power of your element, you need to study, and they just I'm a master airbender who can do whatever I want now.
We needed more time, and again, this is a case where the spirit elevator maybe doesn't help the story, because if we know that it took them a long time to get back, you could at least have in your mind that Taga had like X amount of months to at least get some like rudimentary skills into these guys. But like immediately they're going toe to toe with like the most well-seasoned fighters and benders that we know about. Yeah. And even like, Toph like is getting handled by
I know. I'm like
fat guy with a
Toph
spear.
Is supposed to be like, and not only is
she
like
couldn't metal bend the tip of his spear. That's one thing I was wondering.
Oh my gosh, there was so many things where I'm like, oh, you have to depower them. You have to make them less powerful than you made them at the end of the original Avatar series in order for them to have any conflict, because the end of the Avatar series, they're essentially peak performance, and they destroy the Fire Nation army as children.
And they did set up that the Denied are good fighters even without being benders, but even at that point, it's like, eye roll, okay.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, you're Superman. They're good with the fighting.
Like,
with
they're good fighters, even without bending.
Those bank robbers sure were good at robbing banks, even without being from Krypton. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Other
notes, I already mentioned this. The Denied are basically like ISIS in the beginning. They're just like, don't care about history. That kind of irked me. We get their intro mid-battle with Aang, which I always hate. It's like, oh my gosh, who are these people I'm fighting? And one of them goes, we're the Denied. We are denied powers, and that's why we're mad. And it's just, I feel like, again, there's better ways to do this stuff, but it requires more time or more scenes or more episodes. I think there's also a way to do this without the Denied. I think you could have done this movie without the Denied, if I'm being honest.
Oh, yeah, me too. You don't
because
need
they
them
didn't really
for
get
anything.
I feel like in the beginning when they were coming up with this story, they were trying to draw a parallel between Taga being a non-bender and getting the powers to them, but they didn't really connect that enough. They didn't have that moment where that was like a thing that, and especially for the fact that, when all is said and done, as we mentioned a million times, Taga disintegrates, but the Denied just go back to being normal people. Taga was just frozen,
Right. He wasn't like magicked.
Yeah. And again, I actually have more of that later. To go more on the Denied, their motives are weak. We needed to, just like we kind of needed to see more of Taga's motivations, we really needed to see more of the Denied's actual motivations and maybe more of them as individuals to actually care about why they're doing what they're doing. Otherwise, they just seem like weird, one-note bad people without powers. And then...
Poor Taga, one note.
And I think that's about all I have to say. They don't see the irony of using their powers for mass destruction after basically being mad at Bender's, being destructive.
Yeah.
Except for the one with the pink eyes that's like, clearly seeing the problem, but it's just the one person who physically got saved by Aang.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll talk about. Never mind. I'll talk about another. I just thought of something else that bothered me throughout the film, but it doesn't matter. We're on number 2.
Let's go to number 2.
Aang opens the Avatar staff chamber before talking to Sonam, even though that was like clearly the goal from I know that he got sidetracked by the staff, but his initial first goal was, I have to talk to Sonam. I am going down the Avatar. Haven't you heard of Avatar, Sonam?
Yeah.
It's Sonam. And then he eventually is like, oh, you're talking about the lost... Jian's like, the lost avatars. Mountain, blah, blah, blah. And then he figures out about the staff. And then it's like, for some reason, the staff becomes the object of his... Like, yeah, it makes benders or whatever. But you still haven't talked to Sonam. and your first goal was to talk to Sonam, yes, to find the staff, to get it before but the other thing that we find out is when we get to the island, no one else could get on this island except the Avatar.
True.
You need to be an airbender to get there. So essentially, now that we're on this island, now that we've gotten through this storm, Katara says it earlier. It's like, do you think anybody could make it through this storm?
Right. Do you think the Dena'id are going to get through?
Right. So it's like, now we don't even need, even if you were like, oh, I need to get the staff before they get to it, if that's your priority, they can't get to it anymore.
Yeah,
there's no getting to it.
And the sense of urgency is very low at that moment in time as well.
Yeah,
it's not like when they have that discussion amongst the group that they're like, "Oh, we got to go right now. I'm going to go. You stay here, Taga." It's like a very relaxed conversation.
Right. So why, when he sees the person the spirit of the person he's been looking for this whole time fly into this cove?
Yeah.
Your first thought is, "Let me get the staff," not, "Oh, let me talk to the person I've been looking for this entire time." Crazy. It doesn't make any sense to me because it makes sense in the movie if you're watching. If I'm looking at it as a filmmaker, it's like I can't have him talk to Sonam.
Yeah.
The moment he talks to Sonam, we find out Taga's bad. He doesn't open the staff.
Yeah.
No one ever gets the staff.
Also, bad on Sonam not to leave more breadcrumbs as to like why she did these things. I mean,
right? It's like do it all in secret and don't tell anybody. What are we doing?
You could say it's a little hindsight bias, but at the same time, I mean, you can understand. Aang finds someone encased in ice. He himself was encased in ice, so he might not assume that means that they were in like a prison, a spirit prison, because they're evil. It could just be an Aang situation. So maybe you can forgive him of that. But yeah, the whole like getting this staff in a almost impossible to reach place that nobody knows exists, maybe a little bit more critical thinking as to why that would be the case, you know.
And I just was so bothered that by the time they got there and it was assured that literally no one could get to the staff but him, it's like, why not take the time to sit and chat with a little avatar? Why don't you do a little meditation? Why don't you do what you do best, which is seek counsel from your, like, I don't know. It's like a main theme of the whole show. It's like him trying to figure out stuff, and the one opportunity he has to, like, figure out more information, he's like, actually, I'm just going to grab the weapon I'm going to grab Excalibur instead of talking to Merlin about what the implication of grabbing Excalibur is going to be.
Yeah, and, you know, maybe there could have been an extra beat from Taga that kind of warped his mission. Like if Aang went in being like, oh, I got to go talk to her, and Taga was like, get the staff, like, blah, 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 blah. Like,
maybe the staff, he's like, this... She's bound to the staff.
Yeah,
the
like
only way that you can talk to her is if you have it. It's like, whatever, cool. Lie to him. At least there's a lie.
Yeah. My number 2 is really stupid and simple. There's a part in the beginning of our introduction to Republic City. Katara is leading this whole everybody gather around and listen. We're opening up Republic City. I'm going to, waterbend this thing. Here's the flags of the 4 nations. Everybody's happy. Then Aang flies in on Appa, and for some reason, these 2 guys just foam at the mouth and fall over. What on earth was going on there?
That's another Cabbage Fist. That's another reference.
It's just a reference?
Yeah, that's a reference to the original show. It happens in another episode. It's those same 2 guys, and they foam at the mouth and fall over. It's exactly that's just...
Why?
It's because they're, like, obsessed with the Avatar. It's like, oh, my God, it's the Avatar. And in the original, it's like nobody knew the Avatar was back at the time. And then he's a kid, and he's, like, an airbender. And they're like, oh, my God.
I mean, to me, it's like it literally read like they got poisoned and died. I did not know what was going on.
No,
so
they were
if
just
you're
going
not
crazy.
If you're not hip to the reference... I mean,
Yeah,
that is just a real
sense.
confusing moment. More so than the cabbages. Like, my cabbages, I think anybody can look at that and understand, okay, this guy's upset about his cabbages. But 2 guys just foaming at the mouth and falling over when Aang flies in.
Yeah, the phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one. I was like, oh. But yeah, that's another one where it's like, yeah, it's just another reference to a thing that is like sort of you didn't need to do it at all.
So what's your number one demerit?
My number one is so they can just teleport through the spirit world with the ocean spirit, but they didn't teleport to the island or anywhere else the entire time. You could have just had Taga leave their ship untouched and unfinished repairs, and have a little extra time between like them getting recovered, repairing the ship, and then being a little bit behind their ship. And it would have played out exactly the same.
See, what you're missing is they didn't accrue enough ocean points to that, at that point.
Oh, yeah.
So they had to wait.
Points.
They had to wait. And it's only when they reached the island that they got enough ocean points to use the teleport. They didn't have enough to get there.
Oh, yeah.
So
they should call Ween so they could get Ocean Man here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that's kind of convoluted and just like, yada yada about the entire logistics surrounding the ending. Okay, so she, Sonam, had this city, then she brought her temple into the spirit world, and now we need to go to the spirit world and get to her temple, but now it's falling on Republic City, and there's just a lot in there that's like, okay, all right, that's fine. I get it, I guess, maybe.
Taga's gonna bring the temple into the real world, but it's still technically in the spirit world, so we could go to it in the spirit world, and when it brings it in,
but it is gonna kill everybody. It has physical mass.
Yeah.
I
was just the teleport thing bothered me. It's like, especially when you could just have flown there because they are also flying there.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, you're 10 minutes behind him.
Yeah.
I don't understand why if Taga had left the ship untouched, because you didn't need to have him crush it. You could just have him stomp the team, kill them all, and then kill Aang. Because why would he crush the ship anyway? Because he's killing them all. It's like, there's like a whole bunch of stuff that happens, and it's like, let's make it so we have to have them do something crazy to get back. And then they did, and it's like, well, you could have written it and had it been grounded instead of having them do a weird, write-off line where they just float there
I think it's really just one of those connect-the-dots moments where it's like, but her temple's in the spirit world. How do we get the team into the spirit world? The thing is, though, they didn't really ever need to go into the spirit world to begin with. They could have just gone to Republic City knowing that that's what he's after. Like, that's obviously what he hates. Yeah. He hates the unity of it and all this stuff. So, yeah, I think at the end of the day, who knows? There could have been so many reasons for the decisions on why they had to do what they had to do. It could have been, how do we get Taika Waititi into this thing?
We need to get that favorite spirit world character from the Legend of Korra into this.
Yeah.
Into this. We need him. What was your number one, Jackie?
My number one is something that I've kind of skirted multiple times here. I just think Taga's ending in particular could have been better. I would have loved to see a true redemption as option A. So after seeing Aang and the team work together, which was not what happened. Aang kind of had his own battle with Taga. The team kind of had their own battle with the Denied. That's one missed opportunity here. We could have had Aang and Team Avatar all work together to defeat Taga, and Taga could have kind of been like, dang, I thought that I could best all these people with my pure, like, amazing airbending, but when all of the elements work together, it looks like it really is, a tough thing to beat. And so there could have been that kind of redemption moment. Or here's another option. Taga sees people of different nations saving airbenders in an inverse of what he witnessed that made him so, like, element racist. When he saw people killing airbenders, he sees people saving the airbenders. Or here's another option, which I believe I said already. I think it would have been more interesting for him to still be alive and in the world just without powers, like the Denied. Mm-hmm. Why did he disintegrate and go into the spirit world? that makes zero sense to me, and nobody thought that was weird, apparently, in the film. He says his whole thing, which I wrote down, air nomads are formed from the mist. We walk the world for a moment in time, then we return to the eternal wind. And it's like, cool. Yep. You were just like an evil Disney genie for a hot second. And I thought of making a few wishes. Unfortunately, you were trying to murder me with this magic staff. Ooh. So, I just think that there was maybe an opportunity there to make a more thematic choice around Taga's end.
If we were to do a more like Team Avatar-centric version of this film, I agree with you. I think at the end, the combination of like all four of like Team Avatar's bending, have Aang not use the other types, have him just go full air, Toph earth, Katara water, Zuko fire. They're fighting Mecha, Taga, and then they get him restrained, and then ultimately the finishing blow, the person who breaks the staff, Sokka. I think that would have been like a really good, because then it's like, oh, the ultimate power of the spirit world destroyed by somebody who not only like who is a non-bender.
Exactly, which like
which
would have been nice because they have this kind of undercurrent of, wow, if non-benders ever get powers, they're always going to abuse it. And I don't know. I did like Sokka's whole water balloon thing.
Me too.
I did, however, think it was stupid that Katara couldn't figure out how to get more water. It's like, isn't there just water in the soil?
That's another thing. No, and the other thing is there's like a whole part of her training at one point where she's with the lady who bloodbends, how she figures out what bloodbending is.
Yeah.
Where she's like, you have to get creative. There's water in the grass. There's water in the air, and there's water on your skin. There's water in and she's like, you can get water from anywhere. And it's like, you're telling me, Katara, as an adult, you can't do the thing where you can grab the water from the air around you. Don't do that.
And maybe, again, you could have had the anime thing of like, the humidity is so low due to the flames that I can't.
Right. I can't do it. All right. I have some dishonorable mentions.
Okay.
I don't like Gear 5 Aang. I don't think you can't do Gear 5 Aang. He's literal. You don't know what Gear 5 is, Jackie. Sorry, spoilers.
He went Super Saiyan, let's say.
Yeah, it's Super Saiyan. Don't do Super Saiyan Aang. Like, he already has Avatar. They literally have, like, it's like an art style thing that they do with Luffy in One Piece that they're doing with him. And it, like, to me, almost identical. Like, immediately I'm like, oh, they're just doing the thing. You just giving him the scarf like that. You're just doing it. You're just gonna make him look like that because you can. Cool, whatever. You could have done it a multitude of different ways. Didn't even need to have him take the staff at any point. I do think it would have been way more interesting not to have him tempted by the staff at all, and for Aang to have never come into contact with the staff and choose, never having touched it, to have it destroyed. Be like, Sokka, break it now, right? Having never known what it is like to have the power or to give the option to make an airbender, he gives it up anyway because whatever. The temptation isn't anything for him. That would have been another good way to go about it. The other thing is, this is a slight animation thing, and I don't know if it's on purpose or it's like with the backlighting. Aang's eyes are different colors in different scenes. Sometimes they're like silver blue, sometimes they're more blue, and sometimes they're straight amber. And I'm not talking about scenes where he is in like the Avatar state or when he is like blue skinned out when he is in spirit world meditation. I'm talking straight up just different lightings as standard living Aang. His eyes are different colors throughout the film. And it bothered me. I could not stop looking. The moment I noticed it, every single scene I was just looking at Aang's eyes, and I'm like, are they brownish in this one, or are they going to be silver? Who knows?
Anything else from a dishonorable mention standpoint?
Dishonorable mentions.
I have a lingering question here. How old is Appa, and what is the standard lifespan of an air bison?
Oh, no. I don't want to know.
I
don't want to look it up.
I hope he'll be around for many years to come, but I did have that question.
Well, you got to think that they imply that it's like they're a companion for life.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's assume maybe similar to a human lifespan, and that he'll be around as long as Aang is around, hopefully. Also, Appa's just got to be going nuts in that new valley, just like, does he even know what to do? Let's hope so. And I have one award to give out before we get to our chairman of the board. I'm going to give out the Gold Roger Award for confounding voice projection, and I'm giving it to Katara. I don't know how anyone was able to hear her in Republic City Square.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
As you know, this is a bit of a bugaboo for me. Anytime someone is just like projecting without, she didn't have a megaphone or a cone. She wasn't like cupping her hands. She's just talking, and it's reverberating for no reason. So a lot of people, gave some nice feedback on why that might be possible for a Gold Roger. But for Katara, maybe less of a reason, unless she can excite the various water particles in the air. But then, why couldn't she have done that in a battle with the Denied? So, yeah, that was just that's why she gets the Gold Roger Award. And let's move on now to our chairman of the board. So this is an award we give out for the best character, the one who really won the movie. So, Tyler, who would you give the chairman of the board award to?
Normally, any Avatar property, the chairman of the board award goes to Appa. Unfortunately. Not in this movie that much.
He went with Taga without a lot of fuss, so I have a few questions about Appa.
But I know why he did, because Taga is the chairman of the board, and that's why Appa went right with it, and no questions asked. Because when the chairman asks you to hop on a bird, you become the bird. Okay?
I think it would be funny if air bisons just don't have good vision, so he kind of fuzzily saw the tattoo on the head, and he's like,
that's Aang.
It's close enough.
By the way, bisons live to 112, and Appa is 6.
Appa's 6.
Appa's 6 at the beginning of Avatar.
Gotcha. So he's
the first one.
He's in all likelihood something like, I don't know.
Because if they're in their 20s,
20.
he's probably in their 20s something. Yeah, but so he's going to outlive Aang.
Yeah. Okay, I like that.
Good.
I hope so.
I hope
he eats him.
Just like a cat when you die in your house.
Yeah, Taga is my chairman of the board, too. I think if it wasn't Taga, it would have to be Aang. I think those are the only possible choices, just because the story was so Airbender-centric, and these are the two Airbenders. Nice stuff from Dave Bautista. Cool character. I think that the only thing that, made it dumb was the very end of it, but I think that that's not the first thing I'll remember thinking about this movie.
Yeah,
there's a lot of good Taga stuff throughout. That's a good shout. Taga's the chairman of the board. Now let's move on to our rating. We rate out of 5 francs. So what is your rating, Tyler?
When people teleport, that's 1 point off. When people depower Superman, that's another point off. I'm giving it 3 francs, Jackie.
You're giving it a 3.
I'm giving it 3 francs.
Now, I can't in good conscience give the live-action show, which is much weaker than this one, 2 francs. I feel like I can't only give it 1 more franc.
I can.
That's not my only reasoning, but I am giving this a full 4 francs, and this is a solid 4. I don't think this is a 4.5. I don't think it's a 3.5 either. For me, it's a solid 4. I don't think I was as bothered by certain details, but I understand where you're coming from. So I think we have an average of 3.5 between us. I think that's a solid rating. And I would say overall, if I had to give one word for this, I'd say it's good. which is
good.
That it's
watchable
it's fantastic
for sure.
Yeah,
I probably
think
like
it could have been it could have been bad. I mean, it could have been terrible. I think for their first thing, the only thing that I wish for them is that again the rollout had been more successful. There's a lot of people that you can probably blame for that, including the distributors. But yeah, good first one, and I'm looking forward to the series, the Seven Havens.
Especially the way that I look at it, a 5 franc for me. It's like this movie is now in a rotation for me. I am going to watch it forever, more than once.
Yeah.
I'll watch it again. I'll probably seek it out a second time, third time. 3 is like, I can watch it again. Yeah. 2 is like, I'm probably not ever gonna see that again. And then 1 is, I regret having ever thought of seeing this movie the first time. So 3.5 combined, 4 from Jackie here. I think that's fair.
Yep.
I think it's fair.
I agree. And where do we go now? Next week, we're kind of jumping off the Avatar train. We do not know what we're doing next week. Okay, so we're gonna have to figure it out.
Though.
That's
we're
all
allowed
right.
to not know and be a surprise for the next week.
We're gonna dive into something. It might be another beloved animated property that got terrible live action, attempt or two. It might be a pure animation. It might be a stupid movie.
Might be a movie.
Okay.
Might be a movie that just came out with Matt Damon.
He's in Spider-Man?
Yeah.
We could talk about the Odyssey. We could talk about the Spider-Man movie. I've seen both of those films.
I haven't seen either, but I could see him by the time.
There's a million podcasts talking about those, Tyler. We'll find probably something a little bit more niche. Maybe the Wishbone.
Let's find something niche.
Let's find some Wishbone. Just talk about Wishbone.
I would absolutely watch Wishbone's The Odyssey version and be like,
I watched a little bit of it
I watched The Odyssey
just the other day, and number one, I did not remember the intro, and it is so early 90s. It makes me want to just jump up for joy. It's
hey, then
it's
maybe
wild.
I think it's decided. Let's just watch another.
I don't think anyone wants to hear us talk about Wishbone.
I would.
Everyone should go and watch Wishbone. Listen, I'm not saying that we won't talk about Wishbone, but I'm just saying maybe we should get a short list and then.
Maybe we should think something real to watch.
Maybe we should go back to the old how we kind of started doing this is just look at what's in the Netflix top 10 and just doing something there. So if there's anything interesting there, we'll take a look. There is this new show that I really like. With I don't know if you ever watched what's the show about the family in Chicago that's kind of like
Shameless.
Shameless, thank you. Emmy Rossum from Shameless is in this new detective show called Furious that's very good. That's something I'm watching right now, and it's like a week to week. It's got 4 episodes out right now. I haven't watched the 4th that's out yet, but it's her in kind of a different type of role, and it's got Jake Lacey, if you're familiar. He's kind of playing a douchebag, which he's good at. And some other folks.
He's perfect for that.
Some other folks in there that you'll probably recognize. And one Irish actor who I'm not familiar with, and she is just lights out in this thing. So Furious, I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, it's on Hulu/Disney Plus. It's airing on Hulu. It's a Hulu series, but you can watch it on Disney Plus because the lines are very nebulous these days between these streaming platforms owned by, in that case, Disney. But we'll take a look at everything.
I just hope they don't change the user interface of Hulu like they said they were going to, and because that's a mistake. Disney, I gotta tell you, if you're listening, throw out your Disney Plus UI forever and just switch all of it over to Hulu's, because definitively Hulu has the best user interface of all of the streaming services, so you should just
bold take.
Switch. Oh no, it's not. It absolutely is true. Hulu's is the best. Netflix is second, and then I don't even count the other ones. To
be honest with you, I think Netflix used to be by far the best, and they got worse. I think that Amazon Prime is the absolute worst.
Yeah, Amazon's really bad.
Netflix, you used to be able to go into these subgenres and categories, and I think you still can in a browser, but I have Apple TV. On the Apple TV app, it's like you got to know what you're looking for, or you're just leveraging their weird curated
all of the mobile stuff has switched to the algorithmic. Like, I'm gonna give you 6 groupings of things I think that you might like, and it's like, no. That's so stupid.
It's like I gotta go to a category that's like thrilling and chilling instead of like going to a horror genre filter. It's like, let me do my own filters, okay? Yeah. I know how to use filters.
And that's why I think Hulu is like by far the best. It still lets you filter everything. It lets you do it by movie, TV, like whether it's like Hulu or like if you want it to be like Hulu specific, you can do that. You can do all of these things and still filter it. Disney, throw out Disney Plus. It is like the worst except for Amazon Prime.
It's a minus, in fact. You know?
Yeah, Disney minus.
Disney minus.
And my nieces love Moana too, so you better fix it.
When are they going to release the live action on Disney Plus so I can watch it over and over again? I need to see The Rock.
I got to see The Rock with his edited out nipples.
I want to see The Rock, no nibbles.
I want to see The Rock, no rock hard nipples, rock soft.
Rock soft.
Rock soft.
Maybe instead of Disney Plus, make a streaming service called Rock Soft. You know,
I like Rock Soft.
I do
too.
Call
me that from now on.
I might. Okay, I'm not making any promises.
All right, Rock Soft.
You know, in the past, old men yelled at clouds. We yell at streaming services and the various UIs. True. So just the evolution of man.
Yeah, showing our age. We're the old men now.
We are.
Look at me. We're the old men now.
We're from like the earliest YouTube generation. Young people these days, they don't know about shoes, you know?
They don't know about shoes. They don't know about Leave Britney Alone.
Yeah, they don't know about Chocolate Rain or any of the other ones that were in that one South Park episode that, you know, satired early YouTube.
What about
Afro Ninja?
Oh, what about I Am Ninja? I am Ninja, he is Ninja. You don't remember that?
Charlie the Unicorn?
Crazy. Oh, no, it's called Ask a Ninja. Oh, my gosh. Ask a Ninja? Oh.
I mean, we could take it even further back,
Charlie
Tyler.
The Unicorn.
Ask Jeeves.
Whoa.
You know what's funny about Ask Jeeves is I feel like we came full circle on Ask Jeeves because now we're asking UI, like natural language questions, but that's literally how we used the search engine before. It's like, hey, Jeeves, how do I buy tickets
you have
for...
the in. Hey, Jeeves, ...
I'm talking to Jeeves. Pipe down over there.
Now Jeeves is your full-on boyfriend, and he makes you go into manic depressive episodes.
That's a missed opportunity for the AI companies. One of them should have bought Ask Jeeves and just made it Ask Jeeves 2.0 with the AI behind it. You know, I think that would have really, you know, to everybody within the 35-ish to 50 range would have really, you know, made us
That would have
excited.
Been a clever bot. Sorry.
All right, Tyler, we've said it all on Avatar
MySpace.
Aang. Don't even get me started on top 8s and such.
What was the first thing on YouTube? My Day at the Zoo? What was that? That's like the first video on YouTube?
I mean, we could go through a whole deep dive of old YouTube stuff. Maybe sometime in the future.
Philip DeFranco.
Oh, a fine Italian.
Not as good. Went down a weird hole. Toby Turner. Tobuscus. Subscribe. Don't look him up. He's gone crazy or something. That's the last I heard. I don't know. I haven't looked him up.
Well, we're going to go crazy if we stay on any longer. So we're going to say thank you for listening to the Brothers Sinatra podcast. I'm Jack Sinatra.
And I'm Tyler Sinatra. And we're the Brothers Sinatra.
The dogs are going crazy over here.
The first YouTube video was called Me at the Zoo.
There you go. And now we'll all be at the zoo together.
Maybe the zoo or the brothers we met.